the Boston Red Sox in on Alex Bregman, but actually signed Alex Bregman. Were you surprised to be able to say both sentences?
Well, no, this is one of the places we thought about, right? It was Detroit, Boston, Houston were kind of the three. Now, the thing that made it complicated that we kept saying about Boston was they have a third baseman in Devers. They have a first baseman they're counting on in Casas. So where's he going to play? So do we know if Bregman's going to play second base? Because if he goes to third base, then they got to figure out what to do with Devers. If they put him at DH, then what do they do with Yoshida, who's in left field? I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces here. So it's a great signing for the Red Sox. It's great for Alex Bregman. I mean, he got paid, which is crazy. I mean, he got paid a lot of money, and we're gonna ask that question. But $40 million. That's usually a guy that's a superstar on the elite level. Is Alex Bregman that guy for the Red Sox? I'm gonna ask Pap that question. Does he change the division for the Red Sox? Because for that amount of money, you should be changing divisions. I think
it's 30.
No, what do you mean 30?
Buster Olney came out and said deferrals are going to make it more like 390. We haven't gotten the exact as of this moment, but it sounds like it's going to be heavily deferred to be more like a 390 in present day value. So is he worth a 30 over 3 years? I think that's
different. But everywhere I was seeing reported was 3,120.
It is 3,120
each year.
It is opt-outs after each
year. He's still making $40 million. He's still making $40 million a year. I don't care.
Yeah, but then is Ohtani making 700? Or is he making 450?
He's eventually going to get 700, yes.
Right, but you could invest and then make the same amount. We've played this game before. He's getting 30, at least according to that first report. We'll see if other people put the same thing out there, but it at least makes it a little more palatable if it's 30 a year, doesn't it?
Listen, he's a great player. I just want to ask Pap because he's coming on today. He's Mr. Red Sox. Is this a division-changing move for the Red Sox? And if he says yes, listen, this isn't knock on Alex Bregman. This is just the way it is. Alex Bregman got paid what he was worth because that's what someone paid him. So good for you, Alex. You're a hell of a player. I hope it works out for you and the Red Sox.
And for the Red Sox, Todd Father, I mean, there were still talks about them being a 4th or 5th place team. So this certainly helps the cause. Do you think that they've done enough to catch up to the Yankees and the Orioles?
I do. I was always I had the Orioles in the back burner here. I always thought the Red Sox were that team. I mean, they picked up Crochet. They picked up, a couple other guys, and now they got another big gun here. We don't know where he's going to play, of course, but he can still do it. I mean, he played with the Astros with the small park in left field, the Crawford boxes. He's got the monster over there. He's going to be crushing that wall day in and day out. I think if you're a Boston Red Sox fan, you're really excited, and I think you're going to make some noise even more now, going into the season. I have them definitely ahead of the Orioles. I had them ahead of the Orioles before this. So I can see the Red Sox making a lot more noise. They've had the Yankees number the last couple of years, so it's going to be very interesting to see how far they go.
They have had the Yankees number the last few years? I'd have to go back and look at that. I didn't know that, but I still have them. I still have them in third place. I guess I'm just the third placeman, but I have them a lot closer. You know who I have them? You know who I have them going above? Is the other teams that are going for the wild card race. I have them pushing those teams. You put Bregman at second, I don't see how they play. I don't see how they play Bregman at third. Bregman came up as a shortstop. I saw him the first time I ever saw him play was at shortstop. Obviously, they were fine during that time, Correa and then Pena, and he solidified himself as a third baseman. But at the very beginning of the offseason, he said, I'm willing to go to second base. I wonder if that was the fact that Alex Cora called him as soon as he was a free agent. And Cora was like, hey, I got you some signs. I'll get you a contract if you want to come and play at second base. We can run it back. We can run it back here in Boston. That's just what we're going to
do. Okay. A few layers here. Number one for me on the position side, AJ, because you kicked this off and then Kratz just punched in too. I'm going Bregman at third for the majority. He's the best defensive third baseman in the American League. Rafael Devers is signed long-term. He barely ever talks. I've known Rafi since he was a kid, basically. He does not like to talk much to the media or do anything publicly, but he did say one thing last spring training, paraphrasing. He was pretty disappointed in the state of the franchise. So you would think for a guy that's locked up long term, if you go to him and say, hey, dude, we're going to DH you a lot because Bregman's a stud at third base and he's just much better than you defensively, he would say, okay, if it's going to help us win games, let's do this. So we're looking at a projected lineup from Fangraphs that has Bregman at second base. But in my mind, if Christian Campbell is ready to go at second, plus they do have some depth with Vaughn Grissom, who still could be a solid player for the Red Sox, I'm going Bregman at third, AJ. Yoshida, I guess you can try and eat most of the money and trade him away or be a bench off the bat off the bench. But for me, a lot of DH, Devers, Casas at first. If someone gets hurt, then obviously it makes everything easier. That's what I'm doing. What are you doing?
It's a tough situation, man. It's a tough situation. Bregman, Devers defense, we know he's worked on it. Hasn't gotten to be great. Casas, we just don't know what he's going to get. You're going to get because he's been banged up, especially last year. He was always banged up. So do you make the move? Do you go to Rafi Devers and say, hey, we're a better team with you as a DH? And will he accept it? Because he's only, 26 years old? That's a hard position to put somebody in and say, hey, you're the permanent DH for the rest of your career because he signed to that long-term deal. So I don't know. Alex Cora's got some work to do. I know Alex Bregman makes them a better team no matter where he plays, but I just don't think that they're going to move Devers to DH right now. I think Bregman will at least start the year at second because I don't think Campbell will start the year on the big league team.
Agreed. And I think the overall package of Devers at third, Bregman at second, Bregman's upgrade over Vaughn Grissom, upgrade over keeping Yoshida as DH, who wasn't awful. He's not your prototypical banger American League DH that you're thinking of, but even Yoshida's, I think, has a better upside. Maybe there's some type of platoon advantage that you can grab there with Yoshida getting more at-bats against righties. But to me, that trifecta, unless Campbell really pushes the envelope, you go with Bregman right now. And then when injuries pop up, then you start shifting some guys. Guys start taking some ground balls at first. It's always easy to slide into DH, and Bregman has a whole spring at second. What's the worst that can happen? He just goes right back to third, which he's played for the last 6 years. There
could be an injury pretty soon at shortstop, too. I mean, no offense to Trevor Story, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field. So there are plenty of injury concerns. You have a shortstop who hasn't played much in the last few years. You have a first baseman who didn't play much last year. You're right. This might be a non-factor, but for me, AJ, the Red Sox are at their best when Alex Bregman's at third base. And for me, Rafael Devers is not necessarily being told you're a third baseman or you're a DH forever. He's being told you're a third baseman maybe for one season, or you're a DH, for one season, and then Bregman might opt out. No? Why you guys think this is a bad idea?
He's not. I don't think Bregman's going to opt out. He's going to have an unbelievable year to opt out. I know the opt-out's in there, but for him to opt out of this contract, he's going to have a great year. And if he does, so what? But once you make that move to DH, once you go to Rafi Devers and you say you're a permanent DH, it's really hard to go back to the field. It is really hard to go back to being an everyday fielder. That's why I don't think they're going to do it, especially at the beginning of the year. Now, if they get off to a rough start, because I just don't, again, it goes back to I don't think Campbell's going to make the team. They're not going to have him break with the club. They're going to say, Alex, you have all spring to learn second base. Rafi, stay there. We still have Yoshida. We're not going to eat his money. That's the way they're going to break camp, unless something crazy happens, because they want to play Casas. They still love him. They still have Trevor Story. Rafaela can play. Duran can play. They'll figure it out. They have Abreu and Wright. That makes them a better team for me.
Yeah, and I think Casas this is a big year for him. He has to stay healthy for one, and he has to come and be the Tristan that we know he can be. I played with him with USA ball. He absolutely tore it up. I saw the potential there. This is a huge year for him. Dare I say a make or break it year. I don't know. He needs to come and play a lot and do some damage. And Jarren Duran, I always think of Jarren Duran, man. This kid is absolute stud. Having him lead off for that team and find a way to get on base, he's going to have over 70 steals this year if he keeps up and go out there and dominate. Just find a way to get on base. And Trevor Story, we brought him up. If he's healthy and can be somewhat of what he used to be, I mean, that's only going to help. It's going to be a fantastic year for the Red Sox. I see the potential in all these guys. Can they put it together? I think they can. And with the the new pitching staff they got with a couple guys, I think they're going to be a really, really good team. Come end of spring training, we know everybody's there. Watch out for the Red Sox, man.
For sure. And I would love, and I'm going to ask Pap this, who had a higher OPS? Not OPS plus, I get it. OPS might not be the end-all, be-all. Yoshida or Alex Bregman?
Well, are you saying that because it was Yoshida? Tell us what the answer
Obviously
is.
got to be Yoshida,
Well,
otherwise you wouldn't ask the
Give
question.
us the numbers. Come on.
768 to 765. You're paying $130 million. You were looking to get rid of another one. To me, they signed Bregman. They actually save money because if they leave him at second, they don't need to get rid of Yoshida and eat his contract. So there's a way of getting everything. I mean, Yoshida's not lighting the world on fire, but if that's the case, and I know value is in Bregman with the glove, and you're losing some of that value moving him to second, but just saying, like you gotta look at the numbers of what they've done recently too.
Bingo.
Also,
you are losing
here's my
value
thing.
when you move them.
Also, I'll say this. Bregman's value might not also be in the clubhouse. Alex Cora knows him. He's a guy that brings a different little energy. He brings a FU mentality a lot of times. If you watch him play, he plays with that. His plate discipline has always been great. So I think that's another thing that, yes, the numbers are the numbers, but I think sometimes there's things outside, and Alex Cora knows him as good as anybody other than probably AJ Hinch.
Hold up. I have a bone to pick. AJ, you said he's not going to opt out. He got a 6-year, $171.5 million offer from the Detroit Tigers. He is absolutely signing with Boston to opt out or to crush it this season and have them extend him and give him more money. Otherwise, he would have taken the Detroit deal unless he just so badly didn't want to go to Detroit and play there.
Yeah.
Why would you turn down that much more money if you're planning to stay in? Even if he stays for one more season after this, he really hurts his value in the free agent market because it's an age game when you're talking about the free agent market.
I agree. But I have if it's 120, like we've said, I have it. I mean, 120, the Cubs offered 120, right? The Tigers offered more years. So he's thinking, heck, I can get my 120 and the 3 if I stay, and then I can try to piece together the other 60 or 50 million because he'll still only be 33 years old at the end of that. So I think that's the play if it's me. But again, I mean, if Alex Bregman goes out and has a monster year, if he has the 756 OPS again, do we think he's going to get 40 million or 30 million more on the open market another year removed?
We have to play present day value, though. We got to assume that it's 390. We have to play that game because that is the game. So 3 years, $90 million, $30 million per year if we're counting the deferral action that I read, and we'll see if everyone else confirms it. If that's the case, do you opt in for $60 million more, or do you hit the free agent market and try to beat that? He should be able to beat that easily if he puts together even what he did last year. If he puts together what he's done in previous seasons, it could be even better. But to me, Kratz, this deal was done because he's opting out after 1 year. Otherwise, 6 years, 171.5 does not get turned down.
Or he would have taken the 120, 4 years with the opt out after the second year, and he had more money for those first 2 years in that contract. The
Cubs.
The Cubs. Thank you. I was thinking it was the Blue Jays. They didn't make that
Cubs.
offer.
Blue Jays weren't really playing ball.
Scotty,
fake news.
why do you think he didn't take that contract? I don't know. That was mind-boggling.
Opt out.
I'm not.
No opt out. They wouldn't give him an opt out after year 1. He wants to hit the market again. And he's also looking at Matt Chapman, who didn't get exactly what he wanted. I think Bregman entered this offseason saying, I'm going to get $200 million in present day value on a contract. And he wasn't getting offers close to that. And the closest he got was in the 170s. And he was like, nope, not good enough. I think I'm worth more than that. And let's play the game. I have a nice cushion. I have an insurance policy of $90 million in present day value, but I can really bang in Boston, which is going to be a great park for that bat, right? And if he helps to take this team to the playoffs and the glove looks sick and there's good pop against the Green Monster, the plate discipline's there, like we usually see from Bregman, then the Red Sox might just say, all right, let's make this a longer term thing and get you paid the right way.
All right.
It's so unfair that the Dodgers are paying all that deferral too, right? The Dodgers pay all deferrals over all of baseball, right?
Yeah, they're the only ones allowed. Actually, there's an MLB rule that says the Dodgers are the only ones
So
allowed. You know
unfair.
what's funny? We did that. We did a segment the other day on the Shohei Ohtani rule that now counts for 2 years instead of one. And we had certain people commenting on our video being like, might as well just call this Dodger hater territory. And then some people were commenting back like, you don't watch the show. Like, what?
We hate all the teams.
You know you're
hate
good.
everybody.
AJ knows. AJ, actually Todd Father now too. You guys all have called games, right? Kratz a little different because you're calling Phillies. But if you're, well, I guess Todd Father different too. If you're calling a game where you're not calling it for one side, AJ, how does that go when you're calling a game?
If you don't get bitched at by both sides, then you haven't done your job, because
Exactly.
you call what the game does. You call what the game does. If one team beats the other team, you talk about the team that's winning. What are we going to pump up the team that's losing like we did Mets Phillies? The Mets beat the Phillies in 4 games. Of course we're going to talk about the Mets because they were beating them. The Phillies had their one good game. We talked about how great the Phillies were. You talk about the game and the series. And when the Mets win the series, guess what? Yeah, we're going to be on the Mets train because they won.
Let's get to a couple other layers here while we're waiting for Papelbon. So what about the Astros? It's over for Bregman. The career gets put to a close, and it didn't seem like he was seriously entertaining them, even though the offer was dangling there for a while. AJ, beyond the money, do you think that there was something inside his head that said, I'd like to go somewhere else to see how it goes and to get the trash can scandal stink out of here? Because it does kind of separate things once you leave. I'm serious about this one. We don't cover it a lot, but Alex Bregman was one of like the most in the media, like trash talk, fun guys. And then once that hit, it kind of silenced most of the players that were on that team. Maybe Kratz is the right one for this first because it's Houston, but you guys know how he was his first couple of years in the league. And then once that scandal hit, it changed things. So I'm just like, in the back of his head, does he want to go somewhere else so that it's not just constant booze about the Houston situation? Because he had to carry the freight, especially down the stretch here. There's really almost nobody left from that team on the Astros anymore.
I think it's more of what you just said. I don't think he sees the future there. I don't think he sees the same. Now, if the money had gotten close, I'm sure he likes it in Houston. But does he see what's coming down the pipeline? Does he see that, man, we had some dudes. Now we don't have Tucker. Framber's going to be gone. Where's Correa's been gone for a minute now? Like, maybe he just doesn't see the future there as like, hey, we're going to keep winning.
I don't know. I think if you like it, I think the Astros are fine. I think they have young guys. I mean, they don't have a great farm system, but they always seem to figure it out, right? One way or another. So I don't know about that. I just think the money wasn't there. And he said the whole time he wanted to get past a certain number. The Astros didn't get there. He got it from Boston. He went there. I mean, you could do worse than going from Houston to Boston. It's not like he went from Houston to another city that's not as good as Boston. So I just think it was about the money. And because, if he wanted to stay in Houston, he could have signed the 6/156 forever ago. So he just wanted to get that money. He got the money. He went. Good for him.
Yeah. Great for him and for Detroit.
And the Astros already pivoted. Let's not forget, the Astros already pivoted. They saw this coming, right? Dana Brown saw this coming. He went and got Paredes. Kyle Tucker, guess what they got? A third baseman back, right? So he knew this was coming. He thought this could come. He already knew in his mind when he said the other day, hey, we made an offer, but he's probably gone. Get ready. Well, now he's gone.
And lastly here, Todd Father, I give Detroit credit. I mean, I didn't know they were going to this length. 6 years, 171.5 is a nice offer. I mean, I think they put together something good, and it would have been a really big impact to the team. We were saying it. We're like, how is Detroit not really involved? Like, we knew they were involved, but we didn't know the numbers. That's a good number.
Yeah, agreed. They're coming. Listen, they're a good team. They play together as a team. They're no eye guys there. And I think Bregman would have just came in and followed suit and said, hey, here I am. I'm ready to play and enjoy playing with this type of squad. And, we're going to see a lot of good things from Detroit this year. They're a team that everybody knows and understands what they're capable of now. And, with or without Bregman, they're still going to be pretty good team. So they're going to make some noise in the Central for sure.